Hey everybody, Aaron here from Cool Guys Who Sit at Home, and welcome to Let's Play Episode 9. So as you can see, I got fast forward going on. I decided to make this video a little bit different than my other videos. I was doing some experimenting, and what I wanted to see is if I could find a capture setting that would allow me to record for long periods of time so that I could record more of my off-camera stuff, show my deaths, show some of the projects that I build and whatnot, and not overtax my computer and have the quality be really poor. So this was my test, and I think I found a really good balance so I can start doing some nice things in my video. But I decided for this video I'm just going to do a bit of a voiceover and talk about a few things. So for those of you who saw my last video of my cute little dog running through paper, I have moved. And what's really awesome about this is that I now have a private office in the basement where I can do my video recording. I also have set up a new painting table, which means I can get back to Warhammer and making how-to videos on that, which I'm super excited for. So I'm probably going to be cutting down the Minecraft to one video a week and doing a Warhammer video, one video a week. So I'll still be having 2 videos a week as well. Mark is going to be continuing to do his future housing, so he will be having a Minecraft video. So we should have at least, hopefully 3 videos a week. Again, this is a hobby, so sometimes things happen. Like this week I moved, so I'm only doing 1 video and Mark is only doing 1 video. But yeah, so I decided that I was going to go out and find myself some horses. So I did update to the new snapshot and ran around looking for some horses. It took me about 2.5 hours to find horses, which isn't so bad. I tried to be really careful with my world so that I wasn't exploring too much. Knowing that the horses were coming out, I wanted to make sure I didn't have to travel too far. Right after this video, I went and tried to find a donkey, and that took forever. I literally went like 5,000 blocks in one direction and then 5,000 blocks in another direction. Finally found some donkeys and brought them home. It took hours and hours and hours and hours and was a big pain in the butt. However, one of the things that I want to talk about that I felt was a bit misleading is that the leads are not as strong as some of the snapshot videos lead them to believe. They do break quite often, and what I found was when you're going out for horses, you're really only going to be able to safely get 2 or 3 horses back with you. Anything over 2 or 3 horses becomes extremely difficult, and I'll tell you why. The horses seem to be between 1.5 and 2 blocks wide, and unlike mobs which glitch into each other, if you have them in a confined space, these horses will not glitch into each other. Meaning if you have 4 horses, you have 1.5 or 2 blocks times 4. So you're looking at an 8 block wide path that you have to have clear behind you to make sure that the horses don't get snagged. And let me tell you, they get snagged all the time. It's true that if they're eating and you're on flat ground, you can pull them across flat ground. However, if they're eating and there's a single block step up or anything that they have to walk around, they don't do that. They continue eating and they won't jump, which means that all it takes is 1 block in the middle of a field and all of a sudden you're breaking your leads. So what I found was, don't try to travel with more than 2 or 3 horses. Also, traveling on horseback while pulling horses is extremely difficult because when you're on the horse, you can jump, sometimes between 2 and 4 blocks high, but the horse that's following you will only jump 1 block high. So that's a problem as well, and it's definitely really annoying. However, that being said, the horses are fantastic. They're super fast. Getting a donkey and a mule and having that extra capacity with you is really great as well, but it's still going to be quite a journey to try to carry 2 or 3 mules with you. I think one really good mule that you ride is probably what you're going to want, which is going to give you about 3/4 extra storage. And then if you have your ender chest and your normal backpack on or whatever it is that your character carries, you're getting like almost 1 full chest and a half worth of goods, and that's really nice. The other thing that I really like about the horses is it has made it super fun to explore again. I've had so much fun running around and finding dungeons and finding temples. It's just great. Like, having new items to find that are only available there is really, really nice. You know, you have the horse armor, which is super cool. You also have the name tags, which is super cool. That's great. But the horses really, they're hard to pull around, even with the leads as strong as they are now. I waited until, 13W22A, I think it was, when they updated the strength of the lead, and I was really hoping that it was going to be super strong. And it's definitely way stronger, but it's still quite a pain in the butt. So for those of you who have not updated to the new snapshot, the leads are still quite fragile. And if you try to, if you go out 1,000 blocks or 2,000 blocks or 3,000 blocks, like when I was looking for the donkey, I literally had to travel about 8,000 blocks to get home after going 5 and 5, and it was horrible. I had 4 donkeys and 1 really beautiful horse that I found, and I wound up only getting, I think, 2 donkeys home. I lost a lot of them. However, what I did find is that traveling by water is fantastic. Build a boat and your horses just follow you. I didn't have any problems in the water. I didn't lose any animals in the water. It was really great. Traveling by water is so easy with the horses. However, traveling over land is just a nightmare. I mean, anything other than plains is a nightmare. Jungle, horrible. Swamp, not so bad. You have a lot of open space, and you have a lot of water, so it's not so bad. But forest is terrible. You spend so much time cutting down trees and building a path. I mean, essentially you have to build a road because, like I said, each horse, is 1.5 blocks wide, and for every horse that you have traveling behind you, you have to multiply that. So again, you have 4 horses traveling behind you, which doesn't seem like that many. You need to have a clear path of 8 blocks. That means when you're jumping up hills, you essentially have to have a staircase 8 blocks wide. Where you're going through the forest, you have to make sure that you have 8 blocks wide. Otherwise, it's pretty tough. Like, it took a really long time to get those donkeys home, but it was definitely worth it. So I could see definitely having a couple rage quits when you lose a donkey or whatnot. But this exploration was a lot of fun. It didn't take me too long. Like I said, total travel time was about 2 hours. Again, that really depends on how far you've explored, and how often you find plains. The other problem that I had was snow plains, frost plains, do not seem to spawn horses. And I ran into a situation where every biome I was running across was a snow biome, and I would find snow plains after snow plains after snow plains that were brand new, none of them had been loaded, but no horses. You really have to have a regular plains. I hope they change that so that the horses do spawn in a snow biome. That makes sense for that to happen, but right now they don't, so you can run into that problem. The other issue that I had with finding the horses was really making sure that I had the gear on me that I needed. I thought it was going to be, a pretty easy find, and wound up not having enough gear. So as you can see, as I'm running around, I tend to be making a lot of stuff. You definitely want an axe with you because you're going to be chopping down trees. You want a lot of extra dirt blocks so that you can make ramps. You're going to want wood so that you can make boats. I mean, you really want to be careful when you go out there. And you definitely want a lot of leads because you're going to break them. And what happens when the lead breaks is the lead breaks wherever the horse was. So instead of the lead breaking next to you, which makes it really easy to pick up, the lead is going to break wherever the horse got stuck. And sometimes that can be, 10, 15 blocks behind you. When that happens, you have to go back and find the lead. And if you have 3 or 4 other horses, it gets hard. You're going to lose a lot of leads. So on this one, I set out with 30 leads, and I brought home, I think, 2 horses, and I wound up losing about half my leads. And I was trying to be careful. The other thing that I found out was there's a bunch of really easy ways to kill your horses. For one, ice. Ice kills your horses very quickly. So what happens is if you try to jump over a river or jump over a hole and you fall into the water, you continue your forward momentum, but you dismount from your horse. So your horse will slide under that ice and start to drown, and then you gotta try to jump back in and pull it back. So be really careful of ice, be really careful of lava on the surface, just stay away from jungles, and hopefully you won't lose your horses. I did also find a flaw in the snapshot, and that is if you only have one lead and you attach it to a horse, so now there are 0 leads in your hotbar, you cannot attach that lead to a fence post, which means you always have to have a minimum of 1 lead not attached to anything so that you still technically have a lead in your hand before you can attach it to a fence post. And I don't know if they changed that in the new snapshot that came out, 2213W23A or whatever came out yesterday. I haven't gone through the website yet and read about it, and I haven't tested it yet. I'm going to do that probably this evening. But yeah, so if you only have 1 lead, you'll be able to pull your horse, but you won't be able to attach it to a fence post. And you definitely want to be able to attach your horses to fence posts. Like that is important. Also, it's pretty hard to fight when you have a group of horses around you. So if you're pulling 4 or 5 horses behind you and you get into a fight, you wind up hitting your horses. Like, it's very difficult to do combat around them, which is kind of a pain in the butt. Your dogs were attacking your own horses if you hit your horse, but they fixed that already, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, the horses are great, and I'm having so much fun exploring and finding new stuff. It's just a lot of fun. So I want to talk about also some of the other stuff that is going to be coming up with cool guys who sit at home. So my good friend Mark, who again is doing the Future Housing, also has another channel called Mark is Hungry. And on this channel, he's doing recipes as well as drinks. He lost 100 pounds over the past couple years, and it's a really big deal for him. So he's been doing a lot of stuff with recipes and like showing how to cook healthy and making sure it's still delicious and easy. So you really should check out his webpage. He also has some really fun drink recipes. He's going through all of the Mr. Boston book one by one, which is really nice. So that's Mark is Hungry. You can just YouTube that or Google it. It's M-A-R-C, not M-A-R-K. So M-A-R-C is Hungry. And he's got a lot of stuff there. And then Mark is also starting a new video series where we're going to be building an adventure map, like a really fun, sort of like sci-fi inspired adventure map. And I don't want to give away too many of the details, but it's going to be like a weird science complex, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm really, really looking forward to that. But this past week, I did move. I went from a apartment to a house, which is just absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited to be here. I unfortunately don't have all of my hard drives attached to my computer yet, so I'm missing some of my intros and outros because I keep that stuff on backup drives. But I do have my computer set up, and I do have my miniature gaming area set up. It's a lot of fun. I might do a video log and kind of show what we're doing. I bought a Geek Chic gaming table, which is really great. You can play Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer and whatnot on it, which is just totally awesome. So I don't know if any of the my Warhammer fans are watching. You know, clearly I have a lot more views on the Warhammer stuff. It's been a while since I was really able to get into it and do it, just because my apartment was way too small, and once I got married, you know, I said I would put that stuff away because it just took up too much space. But now that we have the basement back, or I guess we didn't really lose it, now that we have a basement, I now have a lot more space to do it. So I have a project that's going to be coming up with that, where I'm going to be building a modular table. It's essentially, for those of you who don't know what Warhammer is a miniature game that you play on a 4x6 table. I play Warhammer 40k, which is the science fiction version of Warhammer, with guns and robots and all sorts of stuff. But it's played on a 4x6 table, and usually you set up a really, cool custom map, and then you fight your friends. Takes a couple hours to play. It's a lot of fun. You get to do a lot of painting and building. It's similar to Minecraft, in that you're making your own stuff and you're building. It's a lot of fun. As you can see here, I'm going through a jungle, and it was just terrible. Jungles are terrible. Anytime I found a river, I definitely, tried to take the river, even if it took me a little bit out of the direction that I needed to go, because just, the rivers are so much easier to move the horses down. So much easier. Yeah, and don't forget to bring saddles with you because you might want to actually ride one of your horses around. But anyways, I digress back into Minecraft. So the Warhammer project that I'm doing is going to be this building, and the building is going to be 5 different 2-foot by 2-foot sections that you can take apart, which means that you can lay them out next to each other and make a full 4-foot by 6-foot map and sort of treat it like a dungeon and go through level by level. But they'll also be disassemblable, so you can take those different parts and pull them apart, which means that you can also use them, just as general terrain pieces in a normal game. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's also really easy to store because all these little building parts come apart, so you can store it easily in a shelf, and that's something that's really important. A lot of times these big 4-foot by 6-foot tables just take up too much space, and where are you going to put, like, it may be a really beautiful table that you made, but I mean, really, where are you going to store a 4-foot by 6-foot table, and how many of them can you store? Not a lot. So I think this project will be really good. It's going to go through some basic crafting of items. It's also going to go through some more advanced stuff. It's going to go through painting, building, supplies, cost. I'm really excited about this project. So as you can see, I have gotten home, and what you're going to see right here, okay, is like, look, I have this beautiful, nice path in front of me. There's only a couple things in my way. I got 3 horses, no problem, right? The new leads are super strong. It shouldn't be any problem at all. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run them back to my barn and everything will be great. So yeah, so I get like halfway back to my barn and I turn around and look, I lost a horse. Like, really? I lost a horse on a road? It's just crazy. So yeah, he got stuck at the lamp, and I had to go back and find them. And here's one of the other problems. They really need to add a sound or some sort of indicator for when your lead breaks. Because normally, if you're just walking around and the horses are following you and your lead breaks, you have no idea. There's absolutely nothing in the game that lets you know that your lead broke. And that's annoying because you're walking and you're not walking backwards because you're paying attention to where you're going. You get 40 or 50 blocks away from where your horse broke, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, great, I lost my horse, and now I have to go back and find it, and I lost my lead. So they really need to add one of 2 things. This is what I was thinking. Either when you attach a lead to a horse, it shouldn't leave your inventory. So like right now, you can see I have 18 leads, and when I attach it to a horse, okay, I have 20, it went down to 19, right? So it takes it out of your inventory. I think if you're holding the lead and it's attached to a horse, it should stay in your hotbar. It shouldn't go out of your inventory. That way, when it breaks and falls onto the ground, that's when you see, oh, I had 19 leads, now I have 18. My lead must have broken and fallen to the ground. Or they need to have some sort of sound, some like obvious breaking sound, so to stop and turn around, because it is quite annoying to travel 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 blocks and not notice that your lead broke. So I was learning how to jump the horse there. Clearly not very good at it, as it shouldn't be that hard to get over a fence. So that brings me pretty much to the end of the episode. I have a lot more stuff to talk about, but hey, this is the end. So until next time, this has been Aaron from Cool Guys Who Sit at Home.